All right. Can you all hear me okay? Yes. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Today is July 21st, 2026. I will call to order the Madison Common Council Executive Committee meeting. Karen, please call the roll.
President Madison.
Here.
President Madison is here. Vice President Glenn. Here. Vice President Glenn is here. Alder Ugair. Here. Alder Ugair is here. Alder Ochovich is excused. Alder Jong. Here. Alder Jong is here. Alder Lieberman. I'll come back. Alder Lankella. Here. Alder Lankella is here. Alder Vitiver. Here. Alder Vitiver is here. You have quorum.
Thanks, Karen. So next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the Common Council Executive Committee on June 23rd, 2026. Vice President Glenn, a motion on the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Vitiver and Alder Ugair. Is there any objection to record a unanimous vote? Seeing no objections, we record a unanimous vote to approve the minutes from June 23rd, 2026. Next on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any registrant speakers?
There are no registrants.
Thank you. So we'll move on to disclosures or recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals under the city's ethics code. Are there any disclosures and or recusals? Seeing no hands up, let's move on to the items in today's agenda. So items for consideration. Alder Glenn, can I have a motion to approve item number 2, which is amending various sections of the Madison General Ordinances to correct inconsistencies and improper references in the Madison General Ordinances, constituting a 2026 City Attorney Reviewer's Ordinance. Can I have a second? Second by Alder Vitiver. And just want to reflect that Alder Lieberman is in attendance. Attorney Haas?
Yes.
Oh, that's you for number 2?
So this is 2 or 3 times a year we introduce a reviser's ordinance, and as you may know, these are introduced simply to correct citations in the ordinances. Sometimes statutes change and we have to correct references to statutes, and sometimes there's just mistakes in the original language. And I think in a couple cases we were cleaning up ordinances that are being changed because other ordinances were repealed, and so we had to remove language in kind of corresponding ordinances. So these are really meant to be technical changes, no substantive changes. But if you have any questions on specific items, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do we have any? Are there any questions from alders for Attorney Haas? Seeing none, is there any objection to record a unanimous vote? Seeing no objections, we will record a unanimous vote for item number 93787. Okay, moving on to item number 3. Alder Glenn, may I have a motion to approve the 2027 Common Council Office Budget Request, which is item number 94075. Second by Alder Vitiver. So Karen will start with an update on what we plan to submit to the mayor for our 2027 budget request.
Thank you, Chair.
Oops.
Sorry.
Oh, let me.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so briefly, as you all are aware, every agency was instructed to provide 2 things. One, everyone received a 99.25% of cost to continue. We should be able to absorb ours because we underspend our overall budget every year. We're also anticipating to do so again in 2027. So I think we're still okay with the 99.25% of the cost to continue. We were also, every agency was asked to provide a 2% reduction scenario. And this, of course, is a challenge, as you know. even for small agencies, because there isn't a lot. We don't have a project we can stop doing, and so on and so forth. So I discussed the issue with President Madison, and we decided to go forward with taking the 2% out of the Alder expense account funds. And she'll have some more information about that in a moment. The other thing I just wanted to say real quick about this, or about the budget, just a couple more points. One, we had a couple of different pots of money for example, the Small Business Fam Tour, some promotional items. I'm moving that. This is all kind of conceptual in some senses, because it's small amounts of money that I'm just changing the titles of, but I'm moving them together to create an $1,100 community engagement fund that can be used for a number of different things, which is, it more reflects actual practice. So that, I'm just letting you all know that. And then I have a couple notes for future planning. One thing that we get to do this year is flag some things that might be coming down the pike in the future, right? And as you know, we have a continued need for BCC staff support, boards, commissions, and committee staff support. That project is, it's very challenging to get much done in this project without some kind of staff time dedicated to it. So that's going to continue to be something that I mention. $30,000 in consulting services funding to hire somebody to help us review and create training materials would go a long way. And then I also wanted to make a note so that the mayor was aware that we're doing this research on supporting councils in growing cities and what we can do, both, low cost, no costs, et cetera, resources that we can provide for you. And one of the things that I would like, one of the things I'm looking at is an email management or constituent management system. And so I just wanted to mention that we're looking at these things. We are doing the research, that we're going to come back to you to report back on the research later in the year. But this is something that we have in our minds for future planning. So then I'll turn it over to President Madison.
Thanks, Karen. So I asked Karen to do a little bit of research on previous years. So I'll just give you a couple of bullet points and then we can have a discussion about it. So over the 5-year period between 2021 and 2025, alders spent an average of 38% of their expense account funds, and we returned about 62% to the general fund. In 2025, alders spent 25% of their expense account funds, and we returned 75% to the general fund. 25% represents an average of $475 per alder in 2025. 75% return represents an average of $1,475 unspent per alder in 2025. So for 2026, for receipts processed by the beginning of July, this July, alders have spent an average of 3% of their alder expense account funds so far. The 2% cut scenario represents a 70% reduction in alder expense funds, leaving 30% for usage. And if you don't know, I've been a fan of asking other alders in the past to allow me to use their dollars that they haven't used, and that worked well for me. So just as a reminder, alders are always welcome to request funds from other alders. The last thing I want to just say is that for me, the reason I asked Karen to make the cut in this way, I wanted to limit any impact in the resources that we have from the office, whether it's programming, training, whatever it is that we get supplemented by common council staff. And I figure since we're not actually spending all of our money and it's going back into the general fund, we may as well take the cut. And then for those of us who may need to use funding, and maybe we've spent it all on a community engagement event, for example, we can ask another alder to help us by using their unspent funds. So I would welcome any feedback and or discussion and or questions now, if anybody has any. Alder Vitever?
So I guess to me, it sort of begs the question of, should we just have one lump community engagement fund altogether rather than having individual alder accounts at all?
Karen?
So we have done that in the past, and because of difficulty splitting it out, they split it out. So it's been like this, its current structure is like this because of having previously had a pool that then it was challenging. Somebody might want to use a lot of money early in the year, and then there's less money later in the year. But also, we come to later in the year and maybe there is more money and we haven't used, This is the way that they decided in the past to solve this dilemma by allotting everybody the same amount and saying, go ahead and swap around. I do think, I am also, though, to your point, looking at, I'm considering some things, trying to see if there's some things we can take on as an office, but I don't have any concrete plans to provide it, but that's the reason it's the way it is.
Thanks, Alder Vitever. Are there other questions and or discussion? Well, seeing no objections, is there any objection to record a unanimous support or unanimous vote? Seeing no objections, we will record a unanimous vote to item number 94075, which is the 2027 Common Council Office budget request. Thanks, Karen, and thank you so much for your work on this and all the research and all the additional questions that I likely sent on this. All right, so moving on to item number 4, which is Legislature item number 94076, the District 1 vacancy appointment process. Karen?
Yes, so as you hopefully are subscribed to the city's newsletters, you will have noticed that the call has opened, the call for applications for District 1 has opened up. And I wanted to give you a quick sense of how this is going to go and what we'll expect from you all. As you know, you have a special CCC meeting on the books for Tuesday, September 1st now, and that is to conduct interviews with candidates and vote to make a recommendation, which would then go to council on September 8th. So the applications are open until Tuesday, August 4th, end of day. And this also, there's a few reasons, but one of the things that's nice about this is it gives us some breathing room in case we have to extend the call, for example, or et cetera. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, but if it is, we have it set up nicely. And then, so President Madison and I'll be talking a bit more about what interview questions have been used in the past, and we'll be able to communicate more with you about that as we get closer. But that's the process in person, in MMB 215, if it's available, I believe it is, because it turns out that it's just a little bit easier, and hybrid is a challenge when we're doing interviews. So it was sort of either in person or all virtual, and we decided to go with in person. We had done that in a previous for District 19. Yes, and so I'm happy to take questions. I'm trying to think of what else I can tell you. So,
Yeah, I guess I would just add if there are questions that you'd like us to include or consider, or just for us to be thinking about, to send that to Karen. All right, so Alder Lieberman.
Thank you. Are the interview questions standard for each person we interview? Is there any flexibility with us asking follow-ups on the day of?
the way that it's been handled is really, I think, more like how we handle job applications. So we try to ask the same questions to everyone, and then you can do a little bit of like answer follow-up, based on the answer. Maybe you need a clarification, but the idea is that we want to try to be as fair as possible so that everyone
Has the same chance.
has the same chance. Yeah.
That's good. And then is there any rules or guidance on members of this committee meeting with applicants before the interview, just to get a better sense of who they are and dive into a little more detail there?
I'll defer to Alder Haas, Attorney Haas.
I don't think there's any restrictions. I mean, it's a political office. Applicants can meet with whoever they want. You should, of course, be careful not to have a quorum of alders or a quorum of this committee, negative quorum of this committee, meeting with the person at the same time.
Thank you. Alder Zhang?
Who else is going to be involved in the selection process? Will it just be CCEC?
Just CCEC.
So,
Oh, yeah, council, so we make the recommendation and council approves that recommendation.
and then Alder Duncan will not be involved.
No. He leaves, I think his last day, July 31st. Yep. Thank you. Alder Lankella?
So we're talking about the standardized questions for candidates, right? So do we have a standardized acceptance criteria and all of that as well? No, anybody makes their own, like,
I think,
with the questions, do you have more than acceptable, not acceptable answers?
I don't, Attorney Haas?
Rubric.
No,
Say another word.
benchmarks, you mean?
Benchmarks,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different than a job application.
Okay.
Where you come up with benchmarks ahead of time, because it's really whatever your own judgment is as an individual alder. You can decide for yourself what's acceptable to you. I don't think you may not want to have like an acceptable answer that the entire council agrees upon, because everybody has their own perspective. But in the past, we have not done benchmarks.
Okay. Yeah, just I'm a little bit worried about conflict there. So you said it is a public political office. We should be able to meet the candidates ahead of time too, but there could be a conflict too, right? You might know the candidate or
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a conflict in the sense under the code of ethics.
okay.
There's no personal or financial benefit to you.
No, yeah, that's the reason why I was asking about the acceptance criteria too, right? Because you know that candidate, you just put the point like 10 or ratings wise, right? Put them all on the top because you know the candidate, not just based on they meet these criterias. So it's just
Yeah,
maybe a suggestion to consider putting acceptable criterias in there. If we are putting a standardized question, should also have standardized answers.
I just want to weigh in on,
Mine is not on.
I think Attorney Haas, I believe the ordinance is actually pretty open in terms of this, how the applicants are chosen. This is a big difference between this and a job interview. So the way that things have happened since I've been here and experienced them is that they had they had interview questions, sometimes multiple rounds of interview questions, but I believe that is, and I think is checking, I believe that is up to the president. I don't know that that's actually even anything is in the ordinance. I mean, that means you could just look at everything and go, we like that person. So we're adding a little more structure. From my understanding, we're adding a little more structure than what is required by law and not less. So, yeah, that's
And I
that's all.
guess, because then it would be about, I guess I'm not necessarily, because I think I've seen maybe two. I was appointed before. I think Tischler was appointed before I got on. I think Ugair was appointed. And I don't know that a scale would actually allow us to gauge whether or not the alder, because for me personally, I'm looking for, can they really do can they do and be available for the duties of alder? That has a little bit more importance than whether or not they answer the questions well. Yeah, if that makes sense. But I get what you're saying.
I get, the other point I was trying to make is each of the alders may have a different view about what makes a good alder. And a candidate, for instance, may say, I support this policy for the council to vote on and support and enact. And you may agree with that or disagree with that. And that's a legitimate reason to make up your own mind about who the best candidate is.
Yeah. Plus we'll have a discussion. Like we don't, I'm confident we'll have depending on who all applies and how many, we'll have a great discussion about it. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, did I turn you off? Oh, my bad.
I just wanted to, it's not about that one. I just wanted to see kind of like a transparency, like why I'm bringing that one is if somebody questions why we picked somebody versus over the other, we at least have a stats showing this is the acceptable criteria we met.
I understand. No, I absolutely get it. I think it's a public process, so we're not deciding any of this in closed session at all. It's all public.
Okay.
So they'll see why we chose them through our discussion. Hopefully that makes sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, I believe I saw Alder Ugair followed by Alder Lieberman.
Thank you, Chair, President. I think you and I are the two people on the council right now who have gone through this process. And so just a couple of comments about that. I think the questions that we ask are important. I think I'd recommend that overall, we give those questions to the applicants ahead of time so that they have a chance to devote some serious consideration to what they're going to say. And at that point, we do have, we usually time the response. They do not have an infinite amount of time to carry on. So, part of perhaps what we look for is the ability to get some conciseness in the responses to the questions. But the questions are important. And I think that has worked well when it's been done. And as President Madison said, it's a public process. And I'd recommend that as we go through, because sometimes, if we have multiple candidates, there may be varying decisions. An initial vote may not get us to a majority in some case. And so it's helpful for the CCEC members to actually speak to why they are making that decision. What did they see that they found particularly appropriate for the job of being an alder? That's really the major comment I wanted to make.
Thanks, Alder Ugair. Alder Lieberman.
Thank you. Alder Ugair sort of answered this already, but I just wanted to ask of him and of you, President Madison, were there any things that happened during the appointment process that you think you would like to go differently this time? Any sort of pitfalls we should be looking to avoid, or just parts of the process that caused any friction?
Mine was on Zoom, so I would have preferred to be in person because I think even though I felt like I did a good job, I felt like I'm just an in-person person. I did get the questions in advance, so I had an opportunity to prepare my answers and kind of have my script there and then, go back and forth if I needed to. I also met with former alders leading up to the appointment just to understand the role. So that was really helpful. I think I met with a current alder as well at the time. So that was really helpful for me. I probably would have wanted more time to have conversation because I think I had to get appointed very quickly after my interview. So I wish at my interview, people would have told me all of the things, like the 2 a.m. meetings, the being thrown into budgets, but I got appointed in October. So outside of that, I think it just overall, I felt really comfortable. The questions were very much about the role as alder, and it allowed me to sort of test my chops, being alder, coming from a, nonprofit background. So I don't know if you want to add anything, Alder Ugair, about your experience.
Yeah, I'd echo everything that you said. And going back to the earlier question about the appropriateness of meetings ahead of time, I think they're useful. If you know somebody, I think it's really important that you explain what the job looks like. Are you prepared to make the time commitment that's a minimum requirement of actually being able to make a contribution? Because I think we have some people who have applied in the past that really don't appreciate what that is, and we don't want quick turnover. We'd like somebody that could at least last until the next election.
Thank you. And I did meet with Alder Duncan, just to get FAQs about his district. So if anybody has someone and they, like to meet with me, I don't mind having that discussion. Anything else, Alder Lieberman? Nope. All right. Alder Figueroa Cole? No?
You cover it.
Okay. Alder Lankella?
So are we good to see the questions ahead of time?
Yep.
When would be the timeline, or how long we'll have, or?
Sorry, I think it's you. I don't know why it's doing this to us today. It's giving us feedback for folks online in case. My plan is to collect all of the questions that I've got that I'm aware of that have been asked in the ones since I've been here, put them together, provide them to President Madison, have conversations with leadership, come up with something, and then, if we can do this, I really hate to overpromise. If we can get this done by the 4th, it would be nice to bring it back to CCEC on the 4th for some workshopping, since we have the time. If not, I'll do it by email and let you all give me feedback by email. But that's that's what I want, is to come back to you on the 4th with we'll have draft questions and process for you, and then get feedback and then make changes so that by the time we get to September 1st, we're ready to go. Hopefully that's helpful.
And we'll have any second round, kind of like a tiebreaker to two close candidates. That's a different set of questions. Because
That's been the case in the past. So I think I'll see what President Madison wants to do, but we could plan for it. I think we should plan for it, because it's possible that we would end up with a tie.
We could just include it when we're going over questions and preparing for when we come back in August.
I think in person, I think we'll have a lot more clarity on that candidate's second round too, right? But I went through that process as well. I think before you all went to the second round. And I didn't know what happened, why I chose some others, or because because it's virtual, first virtual thing that happened.
Yeah, maybe in person will give us a bit of a change.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alder Lankella. Alder Figueroa Cole?
Yes, so are you willing to take suggestions or questions even before? Okay, so if you have any questions, just forward it to them, and they can decide if they want to add them. So, and then to add again that the other question about talking to candidates, if you know somebody, it's kind of part of your role for you to go and try to find somebody to do it, so it's okay to do that. But yeah, we have plenty of questions that we have used before, but if you have a fresh one that you want to submit, maybe we already have it, or maybe it can be asked, so. And also, if you want to see, we've done this a few times already. I don't know what their title in Legistar, but you can also go and watch prior things if people haven't participated on the process. Thank you.
Alder Figueroa Cole. Alder Ugair?
Yeah, just one more piece of preparation. Don't be surprised, I think, if you get some very pointed advice from constituents who may know something and have some useful information about the applicants, and take that for what it is. You're not obligated to say, okay, I'm on board, but you may want to wait until you hear all of the information. But just prepared, don't be shocked if you get some calls strongly urging you in favor of or in opposition to one or more applicants.
Yep. Thanks, that's a great point. Alder Ugair. Thank you. All right, are there other questions or thoughts on the vacancy process? Alder Zhang?
Of the District 1 alder duties in the interim period, is that just like an inbox that doesn't get answered?
So the president and the chief of staff will be monitoring that inbox, and the president will be making the required decisions, the ones that are like the 30-day waivers and these sorts of things. The president does have the right, I believe as well, to nominate a colleague to do this. Just saying. But
Now you turn around.
But that's the plan. So I'll submit submit an IT request, and then as of 8/1, it will come to us, and then as the elected here, who kind of has custodianship of this box, President Madison will have to decide on those decisions, and we'll keep track of them. And so then when the new person comes in, we'll be able to provide those to them.
And again, I did meet with Alder Duncan, and we had a conversation about his email, his district, some highlights. He's very organized, so I'm not stressed out at all about his email. So
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Okay, seeing no other questions, this does not need a vote, blah, blah, blah. All right, so moving on to Common Council leadership updates. I'm going to be just very quick here because, all right, so I don't think I gave an update at the last one, but a couple of us went to the Madison Senior Center mural celebration. I highly suggest folks just take a walk down or stop down to the Madison Senior Center. The mural is really beautiful. I think it was myself, Alder Figueroa Cole, Alder Verveer, I think that was it, and Deputy Mayor Vacunta also attended. Don't forget the public market opens on July 23rd. I know Larissa has sent around an email for tabling. I'll do my best to get there like 2:30. If you can, please volunteer an hour or two to Parks Alive. Karen, did you want to share anything about the All Alders email list?
Yeah, we're still working on, there's debate about what to put in the auto reply for the All Alders email list. So we're working on that. And while we're speaking of auto replies, I just have to apologize for the malfunction that's currently happening with the council inbox auto reply. IT is currently stumped a little bit as to why it's behaving the way it is. We're going to keep we're going to keep trying to solve that problem. But in the meantime, I apologize for any dual or old auto replies being sent along with the new ones. I apologize.
Thanks, Karen. I would love if you have any suggestions you'd like to share with me for future Alder tours and or experiences. I feel like we've seen it all and been to everything. There hasn't been anything new that's open, but I may not be aware of something that's happening in your district that I can schedule for all Alders to experience. I don't know if you've seen, but there's an article about young people, malls, open spaces, third spaces today. Alder Okowitz is out for CCEC, but I do think we should consider some sort of youth-oriented or directed question. So I love any feedback you might have to share with me on how we may hear from youth and young people. Is it inviting them to CCEC? Is it to Common Council? Is it us going back out again into the community and organize it and maybe partnering with an organization? So any feedback you might have for us to directly hear from young people, I would love that. Alder Zhang?
Something I could help organize is meeting with the UW Student Council or Student Government, but I think also probably Madison College or more engagement with the high school students in the area, I think would be informative.
So maybe if we just schedule with Alder Zhang and Alder I'm just messing up people's names today. Alder Okowitz. Just to have like
What is his involvement with?
Well, he has young people. There's been some challenges in his district downtown. So definitely read your regular MPD updates. Some of it is there. Okay, thanks, Alder Zhang. I don't think I have any other pertinent updates for you all. Nope, that's it. All right, so Karen will give some Common Council office updates.
Okay, so you have everyone has a paper copy of this one, and I will be sending it out via email to all alders and attaching it to Legistar as usual. A couple, just flagging some August out of office. I'm going to be gone from the August 5th to the 14th. I'm highlighting a couple of Alder resources. So one is the Council Office Annual Report. Thank you to our Common Council Community Engagement Strategist. I don't know why my brain. Okay. Our Community Engagement Strategist, Larissa, for putting that together, getting that all ready for us. So that's in your folders as well. And then I wanted to, I've been trying to highlight resources each time we meet. And there's a lot of activity on social media. And so we, over the years, because there's always a lot of activity on social media, we've developed some guidance and help for alders with social media, because your obligations differ from, as an alder, differ from you as a private, if you weren't an alder, even if you're, whether or not you're using an official account or your own account, there's a lot of records retention components, rules about whether you can delete posts or block people based on legal cases, I think maybe at the federal level. And so we worked with the city attorney's office to really come up with a lot, kind of like the 50-piece rule stuff. We sat down and tried to come up with a lot of things and work through a lot of scenarios to try to give you all a sense of things. So I've provided hard copies, and I'll attach them to the email as well, of this Common Council social media considerations document, the guidelines for official City of Madison pages. So if you want an older district page, there's information there. And then just a re-up of the Common Council strategic communication plan that goes into communication tools and resources that are available to you. So please feel free to reach out with any questions. There's a lot of material. As I've been saying, and I want to say it on the record, I've been saying this a lot lately, we work in a very regulation-rich environment. So I think this is one of those times when, 8 pages worth of information is, it's just because we want to be able to give you the best sense of things so that when you're out there, you have a good sense of what's expected. So I wanted to flag those resources for you. And yeah. And then I wanted to let you know that our Aspire intern will be returning part-time as our fall intern, which is wonderful for us. And so she'll have a break in August, and then she'll be back. So please, again, reach out to Isaac with any projects that you'd like her to be working on, and feedback and so on for us. And then I listed a couple of trainings. The plain language workshop. Okay, so September, it's coming back, and they have re-upped and improved their plain language trainings. And so I recommend everyone take it, because we can, I know sometimes it's counterintuitive, plain language, and I also know that it's harder than it seems to communicate something in plain language. And so this is a great opportunity. And so there's lots of trainings here, They're all free. Go ahead and, look and see what's all out there. But I recommend that one in particular, because as you're blogging and communicating to constituents, having some practice with that and things to think about and tools to use you could find them useful. So I really recommend them. That's all I've got, but I'm happy to take questions about the materials that you have.
Do we have any questions for Karen? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7, which is future agenda items. I believe the only item I added was this youth-oriented discussion. If you have ideas for Common Council presentations, I still have a good list going for a plan that I still need to circle back to Alder Uguerra on, and some of the things that you all submitted leading up to leadership elections. So we have still a handful of things that we can add. But if you have any suggestions, I'm always open to hearing them. So any thoughts on future agenda items? Alder Lieberman?
I just want to make sure we put it down so we don't forget discussion of the questions for the District 1.
Oh, no, yep,
Or not District 1, didn't mean to.
we have that, yeah.
Okay, good.
That's it. Okay, thank you. Alder Dr. Vitiver?
I just happened to have a conversation with Chief Patterson yesterday, and he was bringing up some of the challenges in data sharing across the city, county, different agencies. So I don't know if this is the right space for it, but I think that trying to create a space for conversation on that topic and how we can communicate across agencies and see if there are opportunities for doing a better job of collaborating in a more fruitful manner. again, don't know that this is the right space, but it's top of mind for me right now.
Thank you. Sorry. Thanks, Alder Vitiver. Can you just note for me to meet with him or start a thing so I can understand what's happening? Thanks, Alder Vitiver. I keep turning myself off here. Were there other suggestions, thoughts, comments, food orders? Seeing none, that was the last item on the agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Vice President Glenn, second. Second by Alder Dr. Vitiver. Is there any objection to record a unanimous vote for adjournment? Seeing no objections, we will record a unanimous vote to adjourn. I'll see you all in a little bit at Common Council.